Okay, you've made your golf course in GreenKeeper, you've defined those management areas, you set up the sprayers, and importantly, you set where is your course or athletic field located so that you can pull the weather data. So the first thing it's going to bring you into is the homepage, and you're going to notice the homepage is pretty bare. There's not a lot going on here besides the different management areas we just made. And I see some of my primary nav. So I go back to my home page. I have my button to my program builder to schedule applications, growth regulators, pest control, and cultivation. Performance tracker to look at all that performance data, green speed, clipping volume. Course test for soil testing. But you notice that the course management flag is pulsing. So if I click that, the secondary nav menu comes up and says, hey, to do anything first, you got to set your product inventory. So this is an important step in using GreenKeeper, is accurately representing what's in your inventory. So you come to this page first and there's not a lot there. We see our inventory. It says there's no products there. We need to add products. And so first thing we want to do is click this drop down, and there we go. We have hundreds and hundreds of turf products. So let's just start typing to speed up that process and grab some Banner Max 2 and add that to our inventory. When you're adding individual products, it's going to say, do you have any products on your shelf right now? And the answer in this case could be no. So let's say we just bought some Banner Max and we have a sales receipt in front of us. We can select that we were buying it in 1 gallon quantities. Maybe we just bought 5 of them and we paid $248 per each gallon package. And so now we can see down here, when we're done, we're going to have added 5 gallons of Banner Max 2 at the cost of $1.94 per fluid ounce. If you're like me and get frustrated by taxes and discounts, you can also add that. So say that the freight was free, but then I had to pay a sales tax, and imagine that was $100, but we got a nice discount or credit from our distributor, and so they took $300 off because we're a good customer. That would be then represented down here, where all of those taxes and discounts are distributed into that price. And so I can see what the cost is of that material. So we're going to save that product. So there we go. Now we have our Banner Max 2, and the inventory page is a little bit more built out. We can see sort by different manufacturers. Right now we only have Syngenta. We have different product types. We have different pests, so we can actually filter by different pests. So if I want to look for something that controls specific pests, I can Google that, and then I can change how it's sorted. So I have my Banner Max 2. There's the 5 gallons I just bought, and I just put into my inventory. Amount committed, that says 0. That it represents how much Banner Max am I planning to use this growing season. And so when is this growing season defined? It's right here in this committed inventory range. So in this case, I have 0 plan to use Banner Max from January 1st to the end of the year. That makes sense. We haven't scheduled any applications yet. Of course, it's going to be 0. So then the amount that's available to be planned to be used is now 5 gallons. And I can see what the cost per acre is, $3.50. If I expand the Banner Max 2, I can update that material. I can update how much is on hand. I can update the pricing, get information about who makes it. I can click the green button here to load the product label. So if I want to read more about that product, it's all right there. I can see the active ingredient. If you hover or click on pest controlled, it will show all of the different pesticide or pests that Banner Max 2 is controlling, and it's giving it a star rating from limited data to 4 stars for control. So Banner Max 2 is a 4-star material to control dollar spot. Another helpful metric we have here is cost per acre per day. So this material, if you're using it to control, say, dollar spot, it's going to cost you about $2.50 per day of control. How is that calculated? Well, we know the cost of the material per gallon. We know your typical application rate, and we know your typical reapplication interval. If you're someone, though, that likes to maybe use 1 ounce in your application, you can change your typical to, say, 1. And you might say, I expect that to last for 21 days. So now I know that that application costs $3.38 per average day of control. So down this bottom part, this is where you really define what the application unit is, and you can change this if you like to think in fluid ounces per acre versus fluid ounces per thousand. You can select those different options there. And then you have your minimum rate. This is generally the minimum that's not represented on the label. Your typical is just what do you usually use? It's not locking you into this value. It's just helping you kind of set up what that normal would be. And then you have your max label rate. And the same thing here for your intervals. And so we are going to now save those changes. So we can quickly go through and add different products. So let's add something like trim it. So let's look through. Where's our trim it 2SC? There it is. Same thing. How many gallons do I have on hand? Maybe I had 10 gallons of that on hand already. And I know that trim it is cost per gallon is about, at my course, maybe you're paying $560 per gallon. And we can just save that product right there. And so we can quickly go through and add all of our products that way. You look at this list, maybe there's a product you don't see that you use. Possibly it's a generic that we don't have in our system. Don't worry, just click this. Don't see a product, click here. And so now I can say, add a product. This is a generic fungicide. I can say who manufactures it if they're in that list. We'll leave it blank for now. Product type is interesting. This is liquid, means it's a liquid product that you would spray. Soluble means it's a soluble product that you would spray. So your wettable powders, your dry materials that you actually still spray, those would be soluble materials. Even things like fertilizers like urea or ammonium sulfate, they're a dry product that dissolves in the water. Granular products are things that you put into a spreader. So let's say that this one is a soluble product. Then I select what my typical rates and intervals are. So maybe this product lasts 7 to 21 days, but I generally expect it to last 14 in my program. And I like to go somewhere between 1 and the label might say 5 ounces, but maybe my normal is a 4 ounce rate of this material. You can add more information if you'd like. Signal words, maybe this is a caution, EPA registration numbers. You can put those in there. You can search this label database. And so if you can find a label for this product, you can paste it in here so that you can view that label. Is it restricted use? No. And we'll just leave it like that. Next important thing when you're adding a custom product is make sure you go to the next step of add any ingredients or nutrient information. So if it has an active ingredient, maybe it's got boscalid in it, add that boscalid and say how much is in the material. Maybe it's 30% AI. You can also add another active ingredient. So maybe it's boscalid mixed with, let's just find another fungicide that we can mix with it. Having a hard time. How about Tourney, which would be metconazole. Let's type that in, metconazole. Oh, where is metconazole? There you go. And so maybe that is 20% that. So that would be this ingredient. The reason you want to add this, because GreenKeeper is looking for other materials that it knows has these active ingredients. And if it finds one, it will say, okay, this material is very similar to this product that we know how it controls the pest. So by adding these active ingredients in with your generics, it allows GreenKeeper to then also include these generic fungicides when ranking pest control. If it's a fertilizer, you can come in here and quickly add in what nutrients. So maybe this, if it had fertilizer, if it's 15% N by weight, I can put 15% in there, but we're going to abandon that now and just pretend that this is only a fungicide. So let's save the product. And then it's going to ask you again to enter the inventory. So maybe we have 15 pounds of this and the cost per pound is $280. So we'll save that product. So we're really quickly building out that whole product inventory. We have our growth regulators, we have our fungicides, we have our, we can do insecticides, herbicides. If you want to add many products at once, push the add many products button, and then you can go through and just add like next product, next product, next product, put in the total taxes, and then push save. It will update all of those. values. And then when you have a large inventory, maybe dozens of products, you push the audit inventory button. It lists them all, and it allows you to kind of go through your spray room and just do an audit, count how many boxes you have, figure out how many gallons are there, and audit it real time. Other types of products just to kind of be aware of, things like fertilizers are really important to make sure we have them entered in correctly. So let's add in a generic fertilizer here. We'll call this a generic liquid fertilizer. Manufacturer will skip. It's a liquid fertilizer. We're going to go to add nutrients here. And in this scenario, let's say it's we're going to add nitrogen. We know it's got potassium in it and iron. We can come and say that this is a 12, 0 phosphorus, 3% K2O, 8% iron. But if you have a liquid fertilizer, it's also really important that we put in the container weight. So maybe it weighs 28 pounds and it's a 2.5 gallon container. This calculates the density. We need the density to do the fertilizer math. And so that's how you edit those. So once you've gone through, you start building up your entire inventory, then you're ready to go. So you do need to have all of the products you want to use in inventory to then schedule them out. If you're into a point where you're starting to build an application and you say, oh, I forgot that I wanted to add Densicor fungicide, I don't have it in my inventory. Just save the application for late to apply later, and you can add the Densicor and then add it to that application. And so that's the one way to kind of go through that. But this is an important step. It does take a little bit of time just to go through. Again, clicking the Add Many Products button, you can add lots of products once. This is really helpful if you have, say, a sales receipt for maybe EOP, and you want to just be able to go through all those products, add them in at one time, push update, everything gets updated just with one sales receipt. And then again, if you need to audit what you have on your shelves, the audit inventory button really speeds along that process. So once you've built that whole program out, you are ready to go and go back to your homepage and get ready to start making your first application in GreenKeeper.